Okay, so it's 5 o'clock, so I'll call this meeting to order. This is February 2025 meeting of the Barrytown Select Board. If you'll stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag, of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Next item, consider approving the agenda. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
I have one. If we make it to the executive session, is there any action expected? No. Move approval of the agenda as presented. Second.
Second, any discussion? My only comment would be with executive session, you sort of suggested that it might be optional, however, we won't use it next week. So I think that there are items on this.
I think it can wait still.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. For the comments, then all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay. Bob? Can you hear us, Bob?
I can, yes. So can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you. Yeah. So are you voting for approval of the agenda, Bob?
Yes.
Next up is to consider approval of February 11th, 2025 meeting minutes. Review them.
We'll move that we approve the minutes from February 11th with minor spelling and grammatical corrections as deemed necessary by the clerk.
Made any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. And it's approved. Announcements, Mike, you said you wanted to do the announcements this evening?
I sure do.
Thank you.
The Barrytown Fire Department will be hosting its annual drive-through rabies clinic on Saturday, March 15th at the Public Works Garage at 79 Pittman Road from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. The cost of a vaccination is $20 per animal, and the clinic welcomes pets from any town. Please make sure that dogs are leashed and cats are crated. To help ease the process, please fill out an intake and consent form in advance, which will be available at barrytown.org. For dog licensing convenience, the Barrytown Clerk's Office will be open the same day from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. The annual Freezing Fun for Families co-ed snowball softball tournament will be held at the Barrytown Recreation Fields on February 28th through March 2nd. This is the Freezing Fun for Families' largest fundraiser and a lot of fun. Money raised from this event will benefit families battling childhood cancer. Check out their website for more details.
Thank you, Mike. Are there any other announcements this evening? Okay, so we'll move right along.
We know there's a lot of snow. It's more snow than we probably had in many years now. And there's high snow banks and a lot of the intersections and whatnot are hard to see. The crew is working on it. They're aware of the hot spots especially, and they're going to do the best they can to get to kind of a priority list of, but yeah, we're kind of in territory that we're not familiar with these days, it seems like.
Yeah.
You just took my around the table.
Sorry.
No, good point. Thanks for bringing that up, Chris, because it is important. People just having to drive very carefully right now because sight distances aren't what they would be without those big snowbanks. So any other announcements from that end of the table? Okay, so our next item is to receive guests for non-agenda items. Chelsea Brandon is joining us or anything in particular?
I don't know. Nothing that I knew.
Maybe he wanted to listen to Gina.
Okay,
Oh,
okay. So that would be for an agenda item. So our state representative, Gina Galfetti, is going to be doing a legislative report to us, but she has not arrived yet. So we'll skip over agenda item 7 and we'll move on to number 8, which is to consider approving the 2025 sewage treatment residual capacity allocation policy. I'm glad I had that in front of me to read. Joining us this evening is our Department of Public Works. Martineau, welcome, Josh. This is an annual item we have to take care of. You have updated the plan to reflect the current and accurate data. Notes say there were no changes made within the text of the policy. And it appears that we've had a significant decrease, which raises our uncommitted reserve. What else do you want to have us be aware of?
One of the developments had come off, so that was part of the reserve list. So you'll see that there's only one development now, other than industrial park.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
So it's not. I was wondering how that worked. So it was actually double counted for during the construction period because it's in reserve, plus you have the ones that are hooked up.
that we take them out of the reserve as they use them. Yeah. But that whole development's complete, so they don't.
Is that part of what caused the large decrease or?
No, it's based on the average daily flow. So it just happened that this past year, our average daily flow went down, so we have a greater.
Okay, questions for Josh?
Just infiltration, like what can we do? Realistically, you know, I mean, I think it's important. We continue to look at it or monitor it or analyze it, or, you know, and I realize it's almost an impossible task because you have to go, you know, 100 yards at a time or a quarter mile at a time or an eighth of a mile or whatever it is. Big plans are.
No, at the moment, there are some, the main focus within the sewer system itself that we need to focus on, in my opinion, is the BODs. It's excessive from a few of our clients.
Okay, so that's the bigger fish at the moment.
Yes.
That's right.
Speaking of that, one of them put in just a monitoring station, or was it something to do with treatment?
So part of their permit or the pre-treatment division A&R, they had to combine, they had two outfalls or two discharges. They had to combine it into one spot so they can monitor it. I don't know if they are currently monitoring it, but they will be in the future.
That's all, Mike.
My question was answered.
I'm curious, on page 3 with the average daily flow of that, the flow chart. You know what? The numbers for 9/30/24 columns on the side. I think there's an explanation about this last year, why there are no entries there right now.
So this is from November 1st, 23 to October
October 1st.
October 1st of 24. So that's where it ends, and then we haven't done this year's yet. I think is what you're referring to.
Okay, so the way that it's populated is based, that date isn't your start date, it's your end date.
Correct. Yep.
Exactly. How that was calculated in there. My only other question was that the State Department of Environmental Conservation uses a value of 210 gallons per day. And yet we use 300. Is there a reason that we use a higher rate calculations than they do?
That's what's been in our charter for a long time. The 210 is based on, I believe, a household usage, where the 310 may be different based, and maybe more of an average.
Average.
If some high user, they would have more units.
And have we ever revisited the extension, the fees for the cost per foot for installation. I know that the base fee has gone from 1,500 to 1,800, but that's still $5 a foot. Has there ever been any conversation about changing that? Because that's been that way for a long time.
Yeah, no, that's, so, yeah, it's been the same way since I've been here. We haven't,
The whole time 26, 27 years has been that way. So I don't know where it ever came from. I mean, I have a basic understanding where it came from, but the amount, it hasn't changed in at least that long, probably ever.
I've always known it to be 5.
Yeah, me too.
What, and I'm wondering if, what other municipalities are charging.
I would have, it might be in our charter as well, so we can get charter change.
Check the charge on them. Okay. My only other comment with regards to this, is to go back to our agreement with the city, that's the document that we have. Treatment agreement. There's a reference in there pertaining to having a committee that would meet on an annual basis. Sometimes I wonder if we shouldn't exercise that right to do that, especially with the changes that are coming down, like what's going on in the city and all the upgrades that they're doing, so that we're kept in the loop or informed of what those costs may look like. And I think it dovetails onto this policy that we have here. I mean, it just one big picture. I know that you've mentioned it before, and I'm wondering if it's something that we could probably get something going on that.
Calls quarterly, doesn't it?
It actually says we'll meet at least annually.
At least.
At least annually, yeah. And it's the 2 managers and a member of the select board and a member of the council. And its intent would be to review operating costs, flow, BOD records, computations of payments. And I just think that with all that's going on that I'm reading about that's going on at the treatment plant, I'm wondering if it would be a good thing to do.
Yeah, that might open the lines of communication.
Better, yeah. So for this evening, though, we have to do our annual approval of this particular policy.
I'll move, we approve the 2025 sewage treatment residual capacity allocation policy.
Made. Bob, do you have any comments? I don't want to force you to speak.
None, thank you.
All right. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. And we've got our policy renewed for yet another year. Thank you. It was the heavy lift. The work there. Venus still isn't here, so we'll move on to our next item, just to consider approving an updated lease agreement between the town of Barre and Casella Waste Systems for the Wilson Depot Transfer Station. Chris, would you like to introduce that?
Yeah, so somebody's operated a waste recycling transfer station at the Wilson Industrial Park now for quite a number of years. The previous company notified us back in, I think, 2019-ish that they were going to not renew the contract, not continue the service. We went out to bid, sent bids to many potential trash haulers, contractors. And in the end, I think we only received one, Casella. And Casella seemed to be the right fit, had the obviously the know-how and the equipment. And so we entered into an agreement with them in October of 2020, a contract out of the 3-year contract that expired on October 31st, 2023. Basically, they operate 3 days a week. Their hours are 8 to 4. They take most household trash and a multitude of other things, recycling, of course. And for the most part, as far as I know anyway, I used to use it. I haven't used it in many years, but as far as I know, it's pretty successful and well used. When I realized that the contract had expired, I reached out to them and see if they were still interested in continuing, and they are. So we worked on amending the contract, and here we are tonight.
What's being proposed is a 5-year contract versus the 3 years that we had
Yeah.
before.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that it's a valuable service. The only complaint that I've ever feel is the fact that you want credit cards.
it's the only complaint I've ever heard too.
They want to use credit cards.
Makes a lot of sense from a controls perspective.
Yes.
And not having, missing cash, but at the same time, it does make you feel funny when you're spending $2 on a card.
Mhm. Yeah. Questions with regards to this? Todd, anything?
Save it for discussion.
Specific comments at this point?
Well, I guess, the contract's been updated to reflect the 3 compactors, and Chris had made reference that he couldn't find where that was. I went looking for it. I could not find it, but we did have a site plan from them that when we approved it the first time included them expanding with 2 more concrete pads, electrical work. That's when they put the little warming hut up for the people. That was all something that,
It was all part of the initial,
that the
the
board,
way it was worded, I didn't know that.
we were aware of that. But
Okay.
I couldn't find it. I was gonna send you a copy of it, but I couldn't locate it.
Assuming Mike Monty must use it because he's the one who suggested that language, because he was familiar with the fact, unless he remembers it back from, the original contract, but he's the one who said, let's update this to reflect current conditions. I had no idea.
I use it occasionally and it's always very busy.
Yes. Yes. My questions are less about the contract, that agreement that we have, and has to do with the solid waste management facility certification. Because we're listed as the permittee alongside Casella. And there are some compliance schedules and reporting requirements, and I'm wondering who's actually doing that reporting.
Without saying I assume them, you can't, so about all I can tell you. I'd have to follow up with.
Because there are timelines in here pertaining to reporting, and there's some of it has to do with some record keeping that's being done on a quarterly basis. And I'm not, I guess I wasn't even aware of some of it. I don't know if we ever even saw this thing. I have some questions about that we ought to follow up on just to.
Yeah, could you just
Yeah, I'll put those.
email with those
I'll
questions?
put those questions in an email, and the specific issues that dumped out at me, and not the least of which was that it said with that facility that we will receive leaf and yard waste, which we don't do there. We're,
I wonder if that's because it's called the Barre Town Wilson Depot Transfer Station.
I don't know. I don't know why, but it's a DEC permit. Guess we have to buy what's in it. We might want to revisit that a little bit. Okay, no more questions from folks? Comments? Bobby, you good with that?
I am.
I'll entertain motions.
Lease agreement between the town of Barre and Casella Waste Systems that will allow the continuation of the Wilson Depot and the waste and recycling transfer.
Okay, motion second's been made. Any other comments or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. And that item is taken care of. And Gina's still not here. Must be busy down at the State House. So next is to consider approving the assessor's certificate of no appeal or suit pending. Another annual activity. This is the final step in closing the grand list. And so the assessors had to provide a certificate stating that there are no outstanding tax assessment appeals or suits pending. So We have a signed certificate from the assessor. We just need to approve it, and then you have an original that needs to be
I do.
signed.
Yep.
So, if someone's willing to make a motion?
I'll move, we approve Barre Town Assessor Russ Bowden's certificate of no appeal or suit pending.
Second.
Second has been made. Any discussion, questions on this? Okay, then all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Hey,
Those opposed say nay. And that is something carried. We'll get that one signed as well. Okay, accounts payable warrants next. Things. So I believe that there are Nelson invoices in that one.
There are.
Yes.
Move approval of the accounts payable warrants for the week of February 18th, 2025.
Second.
Okay. And a second has been made. Questions, comments? You, Chris, do you know if that EMS assessment fee will ever go away?
I believe there has been talk about it, yes. I do not know if it will or not, but there certainly is talk about it going on.
Because that is a big chunk of change.
I think it was in the same talk of the rural hospital conversation, and
I mean,
the ambulances are essentially on.
you wonder why they'd be willing to give that up, but
Yeah, but it was supposed to help us. But from what I've heard from our director and from others, it hasn't helped us in any way. Well, it's just, it hurts. Yeah, that's 73,000, almost $73,000. That's a big payment.
With a lot of the ambulance services on life support themselves.
Mhm.
That certainly can't help them.
Yes. Does anybody else have any questions or comments? Not, and all those in favor of the motion say aye. Those say nay. And I believe there's one abstention, Mr. Nelson.
you are correct.
It's dealt with. Miscellaneous, Mr. Manager.
I don't think I have anything off the top of my head. I was, I guess I was gonna, we do have some time so we can talk about it. I wasn't sure if we would, but didn't think I was gonna have numbers for you. Justin had reached out wondering about salt. You might have heard it on the news recently that some towns are in trouble. I don't know that we are in any better shape. We have been forced to use a lot of salt and overtime. It seems like it has snowed daily. It's the first of the year. Little storms cost a lot, both in the usage and overtime. I did talk to Josh about it this morning. So he did put together some figures. We have the time if you want to talk about that a little bit. It's not a good picture, I will tell you that. And there's even potential for shortage.
So go over this real quick.
Do we have that electronically that could, so that it could be sent to Bob, you know?
Let's scan it real quick.
Well, I was gonna say, I can go scan it.
Get your copy back.
So this is breakdown over the
Thank you.
last 6 years. FY 25 is our current status. So looking through first batch of numbers, we are 400 hours over what we were last year. With regular time, no time, that's, sand and snow and plowing. Look at plowing, we are by far the most of that. Which that means it's not just, we haven't gone out and salted for 3 hours and then been done for the day. What that means is that we're going out and putting down salt in the beginning and then putting down some sort of blend in the middle and then trying to clean up after that. So there's a lot of usage there. You go down yards and materials, so that's what's been used. You see that we're at 1,700 yards of material versus 18 last year, 2024. So, although we have more hours, I think we've been doing a pretty good job at trying to keep that down. And last year, we did not fill up the shed from, normally if we have a reserve, we fill up the shed ahead or at the end of the year, so we have a stock. We did not this year, so basically that number buying the next column down or row down, that is what we've ordered to date. So we have ordered 2,400 tons. We have not received 250 of that, and I don't know when that 250 is coming. It may come over the next week gradually, but because of what's going on in New York, there's no guarantee when we're going to see it. And our salt shed empty, but it's not full either.
So are all municipalities being impacted by this at this point in time because of what's going on in New York? And what is it exactly that's going on in New York?
But my understanding, and this is just sort of secondhand, is that New York's contract with American Salt is they're basically out of salt, and that Cargill, who's we buy from, actually import. Is they have a port in New York that's where it's coming from. So it's coming from New York to here. New York is saying, "Well, wait a minute, you can't pass that salt through our state without us trying to get some of that." So Cargill has said, yes, we'll give you some, but that just means it's a slower process for us to get our salt because they're taking some of it. So what's going on for us is that everybody wants some and they're trying to spread it thin wherever they can. So everybody's getting something. So that's why it's taking so long to get it. We ordered that this 2 weeks ago. And so I haven't seen it, all of it. So
Coming in dribs and drabs.
truckload here, truckload there.
That's what we're seeing in the invoicing.
So that's what we've ordered. And they've said that they will give us salt beyond that if we need it. However, at what rate, we don't know.
Not a guarantee
Get
price.
ready to that.
Not necessarily the rate of what it costs, but the rate of how fast.
How fast you get it.
Right, because we are beyond our contracted price or contracted amount. So if there's people that still have room on their contract, you're going to them first, then they'll come to us.
So we used to buy from, when we used to budget a certain number of tons from one company and a certain number of tons from the other one, just so that we had two avenues. Obviously, that doesn't matter with American rock salt being out of salt, but is that still something that we do?
No, because the second salt company was Dubois Construction, and when they sold, they were no longer there. So
That's
Cardinal's only source we have. I'm not sure I'm not sure the reason why Linden and those guys are they don't have any. I don't know if it's because they're using Cargill and they can't get fast enough, or if they're somehow using American rock salt, whatever it is. And that's why they can't get any. I'm not really sure what their situation is, but our situation is that we're not getting it that fast because it's being spread out.
So is the state in the same pickle?
I would assume so. I have not talked to my counterparts there, but
a good thing that the extended forecast looks pretty rosy right.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. This is a bit frightening.
yeah, and then you go down the next number and that's call outs. So we're
We're in the ballpark there.
in the bulk. The problem is that those call outs are taking a lot longer. That's what's showing up in that first section is that, we may had, in FY 23, we had, 75 call outs, so we only did 2,300. We're doing 200 more hours in the same amount of call outs.
So it seems though 2050-ish, without doing all the math, is the median number for total hours for the last 6 years. Oh, well, two.
Right around 21, I would say. Well, if you would take this year out,
What percentage of this is since the first of the year?
Oh.
It's gotta be a high percentage of that, 'cause,
I don't know that.
yeah, Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving and Christmas though.
But this year, every time it snows, it snows for a week straight, and the temperatures don't help. So, excuse me. So when you're looking at below 20 degrees in temperature, the salt is very not effective at all. So you have to use more to do the same amount of work. But what we've been doing is blending it because we know it's not really, the salt really isn't doing much of anything. The sand is helping us out. I mean, we've had maybe 3 days of above freezing weather in the last 2 months.
Been very cold.
It's been extremely cold. And I don't even know how many days it's been above 20.
Probably not many more.
So it's hard on the data. But
I had somebody ask me why they couldn't keep up with the snow. It didn't seem like it snowed that hard. And I had to explain that to them, that when it's snowing like this and it's this cold out, the salt doesn't work as well. Nothing, it just, it doesn't melt what's there. And when it's coming down that hard and people are driving over it, it's also packing it at the same time.
the other thing is it was coming down at 2.5 inches an hour, and it takes us 3-4 hours to do a round. So by the time we get back to the same spot, it's already snowed another 6 inches. So
I had to explain it. Average was 4 hours. We had the whole conversation. They fortunately understood at the end. They were no longer upset with the road conditions, I guess you could say.
Well, we appreciate you putting this together.
Yeah,
It's very helpful.
there's some graphs on the next 2 pages that kind of show trend. Hours usage.
Yeah, and if you put the precipitation that we've had, the temperatures of precipitation, I mean, if you added that to the mix, it would explain it. Explain everything. Well, just an old fashioned winter. Not your storm. Questions for Josh? Todd, anything to offer?
Just kind of in a pickle. But
Yeah, I want to, I think we've had talks with the crew and they understand the situation. The talks have been going on all year, but they understand that not only is the budget tight, but the supply is tight.
Mhm.
And I think they're trying to be even more judicial than they normally would.
Yeah.
People have a certain expectation. Where that balance is, a question that's asked every year, I think. But I think from my perspective, they're trying to manage it and they understand the situation. So.
And their focus is obviously going to be on intersections and crossings and things like that before long stretches of the road. So I think just everybody understands that. I think that's probably the more important thing.
Yeah, and like this past storm, we focused on corners, hills, and intersections. And those are basically, if we're going to put salt somewhere, that's where we're going to put it. Fortunately, being Barre town, we have multiple hills that we need to, so we'll get in trouble.
Truck route and a school.
Luckily, the school has been closed, so we haven't had to deal with them, but the trucks are a constant battle.
So in our pinch, I know this had, they buy the salt off of us or whatnot, but if we had the same conversation with the school, try to get them to reduce usage if they can, if they're,
I have not. Their usage is school compared to maybe 3 tons all year. So it's not.
It's not even worth talking with them about it for that small amount.
For them, it's more of flips and falls,
Well, absolutely.
liability hazard versus, so I mean, they're going to use more salt just in general.
Yeah, I didn't know if they made it a practice to, salt asphalt part of the playground.
I don't think they do. Not, of course, they're not doing it the same way we are, right? Where they're not trying to scrape salt and they put it out at the beginning and then they kind of just let it do its thing. And then they might go back and do it the next day. So, yeah.
Anything else? Mike?
I just want to say that you lost the brownie points you got with the last discussion. But thanks for doing this. That's helpful.
Been wondering when I saw that article on the website of WCAX about Linden. Oh gosh, how are we doing?
Yeah.
Well, theirs was to be down 3 trucks and be out of salt. It's a double whammy right
I
there.
can't even imagine how they're trying to get by. Yeah, be really hard. So we do appreciate it, and you hope for a little bit of a breather. It's supposed to warm up by the end of the week. It's supposed to get into the 30s. So meanwhile, I would strongly urge people to watch the snow levels on their roofs. That's a real problem right now. We've got one barn collapse in town. So
The other plug that I would put out there is if you have the capability of cleaning out your fire hydrant, please do that. Because there's a lot out there, and for us to get to them all it's going to take a while to keep on top of that and all the other things that we need to.
suggestion.
If you're capable, please do it.
That might make a nice front porch forum post. All right. Anything else, Chris?
No, I don't think so.
Anything else, please?
No, I don't think so. Just,
Everything's going swimmingly?
everything's going good. Yesterday was tax day. That went good. It was kind of quiet, but quieter than last. Friday was really busy. Yeah, ballots have gone out. So if you haven't requested your ballot, definitely get the request in. And yeah, that's it.
Round the table, Todd.
Good timing. Shout out to Public Works for relay that to them, please. I don't think, people at home realize how mentally exhausting it is just to have to pay attention all the time, whether it's watching the wing or watching a guardrail or the mysterious manhole that shifts because of frost heaves and all these hazards on top of the, us as residents trying to clean our own driveways and vehicles going in and out, snow blowers and kids, and it's a lot. So I want to recognize them because this winter's been brutal for that. I also want to thank the clerk for setting up dog licensing to coordinate with the rabies clinic. That's wonderful that you're availing yourself on a Saturday to do that. So thank you.
You're going to thank Katie for that.
Thank you.
I can't take
But
credit.
please relay that we do recognize and
Yes.
appreciate the efforts.
I was just gonna say, echo Todd's comments and just a shout out to the road crew. My intersection was one of those ones that was obstructed, and they came and cleaned it up today, and it is much better. So be patient, they will be there. But it's definitely a different world out there than what we've become accustomed to over the last few years.
That's it. Yeah, Mike?
Yeah, same here. I thank your guys and I think that's a great thing that Katie's doing for.
Yeah, we've done it the last 3 years. The first year, Brandon and I did it. We only had like 5 people show up. And then last year, Katie and I did it. I completely forgot about it. And Katie showed up by herself. It was like a hockey weekend and I completely spaced. I'll be the first to say that. Came in on Monday and it's like, oh yeah, we had and Katie had like, I think she had like, and then we decided to do it again. And we've been telling people, like, don't forget, you can come after the rabies clinic, you know, and stop by. Cause I think it's convenient. You know, they used to do it, Chris, right? During, it was a little chaotic because it was dog licensing and rabies. So I'm
At the fire station.
time.
Yeah, it was also that they were all fighting and trying to do all of it together.
And not knowing when I talk to them, if they're Barre town, Barre city, another town, so we can only license Barre town. So we're hoping this time it'll be a little more, and over the years it will grow. Yes, Josh, thank you from me too for all your work.
Yeah, I was gonna mention the intersections, because I came down Cassie Street and I couldn't see, of course, I'm shorter, but I couldn't see over the top of the bank, so I just had to kind of creep onto the road and just gun it to make sure I didn't, wasn't gonna plow into anybody, but so that may be one that they wanna prioritize. I mean, they're probably all,
Yeah. I was, and I'm sorry. I was, this was on my thought process this morning, and I went out around lunchtime and then came back, and then it's somewhere between 1 and 3. I'm like, huh? They've done all the banks already. I didn't even know this one go by. I'm like, wow. It's impressive that they're already on top of all of that the day after, so.
They're trying to get out with the grader and push everything back, and between that and the guys will check their routes today. Just for those intersections. So if they can, they try to push them back while they're in there, which helps.
It's definitely appreciated. They are valued, and your good leadership is valued as well, Josh. So, let's see. I don't have anything. I'm not going to ask Bob if he has anything to say. That's okay, Bob. So I assume our representative got tied up with the legislature.
Yes, I'll reach out to her and try to reschedule it.
Okay, we'll reschedule that.
That's what Brandon was here for.
Okay.
Just, no.
Okay. All right, so we do have need for an executive session. And Justin?
I move the select board find that premature general public knowledge clearly places select board at a substantial disadvantage.
Motion and second has been made. Any discussion? None, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Aye. Okay, with that finding, sir?
On that, I move we go into executive session for personnel with no action expected.
And we can fight the public works director.
And we invite, Public Works Director Josh Marino to join us.
Any motion in a second? Any discussion? None, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. We are in executive session at 5:40. We will not be meeting next week. Our next regularly scheduled meeting is March 4th. We will see you then. Be safe, folks.